You believe in Chris?
Yeah, I'm believing,
I'm
brother.
believing. I'm
Yes.
believing too. 4 points, 7,600 miles, four
I am
days.
definitely
I'm
believing
not sure.
it's
It's looking a lot better than I thought it would at this point.
yeah, no, I mean we've ever
But
since
this,
we lost to NYCFC, it's been entertaining to say the least.
no, we get our rematch later on, but we'll talk about that later on in the episode. This is episode number 8 of Battered Heron. We are the Men in Pink, and we are here to recap 2 games. Probably not going to get too into detail since it's 2 games. One of them was literally 7 days ago. We're recording on Wednesday, right before the All-Star game. We were actually recording a little earlier than usual so we can catch that All-Star game.
Yeah.
You're going to watch it today, right?
Yes. Yeah, for sure I'm
We're
going to
going to
catch
watch.
it. My son is dying to watch that game.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be rooting for Yedlin the whole time, right? That's his boy.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Well, before we get on to the games, I need to start off today. Like I guess I started off last time, and I think this is like the 3rd episode that I might start off this way. But I feel like it's necessary. Hashtag I'm sorry, Higuain. I'm sorry. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
If it
I
wasn't
mean
for
it's
this man,
yeah, and it's only fitting that the blip is under your box. It's really only
oh
fitting.
no, definitely. For those of you not watching on YouTube, we have a little title that pops up, and it's right under my image. It says, "I'm sorry, Higuain," because I truly am sorry. Again, I have not just on this show, but on Twitter and even in the stadium, I have been one of his largest haters, and he has proved me wrong time and time again over the last 5 or 6 games. And honestly, with the way Campana was playing before he got injured, and the fact that he's still injured and will be injured for who knows how long, if it wasn't for this man Higuain, we might not be in the playoff race anymore.
Well, I mean, like I was mentioning to you a little bit before we started the show, I was just looking into the injury for Campana, and about 2 days ago, it was actually updated on Inter Miami's website, and it shows that he, I guess, had a strain, a left quad strain, and it shows that he's going to be missing approximately 4 to 6 weeks. With him sidelined, and then we got Robbie Robinson down for the count. We're talking about Higuain's going to be the main striker on this team once again.
And we have no backup because after Higuain, Campana's not there, and Coco Jean was kind of the backup striker, right? Because he could play wing, he could play striker, but
Yeah.
he played a full 10 minutes for us, and he's already out for who knows how long. Do you have an update on his injury?
Yeah.
Do you know how long he's going to be out?
That I do not.
Oh.
That I do not. I don't have any sort of update on his injury. I'll look into it while you sort of filibuster, or while I filibuster.
Well, since we're talking about the whole Higuain thing,
I'm definitely going to be looking in.
Higuain has been not only finishing, but he's been creating a lot better. I think the chemistry that he has with Pozuelo is. I'm very surprised. I thought that it was going to take some time for them to get going together, but it got to the point where I feel like they're playing so well off of each other that I was okay with him starting over Campana. That's how much I feel like he's improved since Pozuelo's been on the field. And I would have never thought that I'd be saying something like that, but I really am happy that we have Higuain. Am I going to feel like that in 2 months? I'm hoping so. I mean, only time will tell. For sure, I don't think we'd be in this position. Or I have hope. I believe, as our intro said, I believe that we can make the playoffs. Without Higuain, I don't know if that belief would still be there.
I don't think so either, because we're not going to have anybody, not just in the caliber of how Higuain plays, in the sense of his experience, but we're talking about he's probably. I mean, I really can't think of another player other than maybe Lassiter, maybe, that is just ready to strike at any given moment. Because even Lassiter sometimes doesn't even pull the trigger. He hesitates a little bit. But Higuain, when he sees daylight, it's on.
Well, I mean, now that you brought up Lassiter, I guess it's the perfect time to transition into San Jose. And we pulled out that W, right? And it was a big deal for a few reasons. One, because we never win on the road. Uh, Two, now that Manny's face, seems to have left the program, but it was a big deal because one, we
Sorry
never
about
win
that.
on
I
the
was
road.
just adjusting something.
Yeah, sorry. We never win on the road. We never score on the road, and I mean, by some miracle, we managed to score one goal, which honestly, it should have been what, 4, 5, 6. Hit you with the LeBron 7.
Yeah, yeah,
It should have been quite a
yes,
few, but of course,
yeah,
Emerson and Lassiter were on the edge of those chances, and that goes back to the importance of Higuain because without Higuain and Campana, relying on Emerson and Lassiter to finish some of those chances, I mean, it's going to be tough. Now, the beginning of that game, when we got to see Campana playing alongside Higuain, Pozuelo, and Robert Taylor, those first 15, 20 minutes, that looked amazing. But
yeah. I did.
unfortunately, Campana's now out. And who was it that came to the rescue? That was your boy. What your boy Jean Mota
I
with
mean, and that was a hell of a strike that he did from outside of the box. I mean, clearly he took it right off the bounce, and it was a very very nice strike, and definitely one that we needed.
and it's funny because when he scored this, I remember the conversation we had a couple episodes ago when we said what player would get gassed more after a goal, and we said Emerson for sure,
Yeah,
and then we said a close second Mota. And Mota needed that because he's been trying. He's been trying all season to get a goal outside the box. That's his first official goal because he
yeah.
scored one against Orlando in the Open Cup. But official regular season Inter Miami goal, that was his first. And he couldn't have come at a better time because literally the only goal we were able to muster.
You know that one thing I wanted to mention to you, Campana has the highest total scoring attempts on the team at 49. The next one up after before him is Mota at 41. I mean,
he, he plays holding midfield. It's basically a CDM. How he's getting that many scoring chances. It's after the game, I saw an interview and he said, I like when we play with 3 CBs in the back, 3 center backs, because it gives me a chance to be more aggressive offensively.
yeah,
Mota, we don't want you to be more aggressive offensively. Hold you like you'll get your
you're
chances
not that
here and
guy.
there,
You're not that
but
guy.
he wants to be that guy. It's like, my guys, we got you
Yes, he
holding
does.
midfielder with Gregory. Gregory, he's gonna get his chances also. But man, Mota, I mean, I don't want to say too much because he's played pretty well the last 2 games, but you could tell that he really wants to get involved offensively.
Yeah, I mean, and I could tell, and I mean, from even when we go to the games, you see him just strike from outside the box, and that thing's going up in the top of the bleachers. I mean, he's got no shot in daylight to make a goal, but I mean, he's trying. You got to give it to him. I mean, at least we know
No,
that
for sure.
if there's a striker back there in the midfielder, it'll be him.
I mean, it's not definitely not for lack of trying. And you brought up Lassiter during the San Jose game. It was his first game back. He looked really rusty, like really, really rusty. He had basically an open goal.
I think with last
With Lassiter, huh?
yeah, and you see that right there. I mean, yeah, you see on the play that you just put in right now. We got where
It's
basically they lost the other team lost the ball, and Higuain set him up beautifully. I mean, those defenders were in beautiful position to block the shot. Um, he does look fairly rusty after his injury, and I think it's because he does play with pace, and so coming back from a leg injury, especially when you rely on your pace, I think it's tough to come back at the same sort of capacity that you were at prior to the injury.
I don't know. I look at this and I see where the defender is positioned. And I honestly think, let's say that defender stands there and it's a drill. And they tell, or let's say the MLS challenge just happened yesterday. Let's say the challenge is hit this defender on the head with the ball from where you're standing. I
Yeah.
bet you he fails 9 out of 10 times. Like
Oh
it
yeah.
was very difficult the way he literally hit him on the head. Like the defender didn't move much to get the head on the ball. And man, it was just bad luck because I mean, you can have a rusty game, but if you end up with a goal, I mean, for the most part, people are gonna give you like, okay, well, he scored. And
Yeah.
that was rough. He had a rough game. There was another. We get on. Well, a lot of people have gotten on Drake Callender for his footwork, right? His passing, his distributing. That's why they were saying that maybe Marsman would get in the game. He had one outlet pass that I couldn't get a highlight of. I wasn't able to find it, but he had an outlet pass that led Lassiter beautifully. It was basically Lassiter and the goalie one on one once
Yes,
the
it
ball
was.
landed at his feet.
It was when he. It was when he had the ball in his hand and he kind of punted it.
Yes, but it was beautiful the way it just sailed and it landed right in front of Lassiter. But Lassiter's heavy first touch, it wasn't a sweet touch. It was a heavy first touch that gave the goalie a chance to go and grab the ball before Lassiter got there. And man, that was. If I was Callender, I'd be really upset because Callender would go from everybody hating on his footwork and his distribution with his feet to highlight of the week because that would have been assist of the week for sure. I mean, that's not an actual award, but it would have been assist of the week, the unofficial assist of the week, because that was a beautiful outlet pass. But Lassiter, man, he was looking rusty. I don't know, with Campana out, Lassiter looking rusty, and your boy Emerson. I don't know how. If it's not for Higuain, I'm not feeling very good right now.
Well, and we go back to Higuain, and one of the stats that I wanted to tell you before we got on the podcast, I wanted to bring this up, and I just wanted to make some similarities to Campana and to Higuain because obviously Campana sort of stole the show from Higuain because of his performance, and then now we're at the point where Campana's injured.
Give it back to Higuain.
Is kind of
give it to him.
The reins back over.
Come on, give it to Higuain. I'm ready to praise him.
So one of the things,
feed it to me.
One of the things that I noticed is that he has Campana has 49 total scoring attempts, like I mentioned before, and his on target scoring attempts were 22 out of 49. You got Higuain that has 25 scoring attempts, and 10 of them are on target scoring attempts. Now, he has scored 10. He has scored 8 goals for the season. So, and he's tied with Campana as the team leader with goals. Now,
and I think he might have played less games also, right?
Started 10 games. Well, and that's what I was just going to get to now. You have Higuain, who started 10 games only, and then Campana started 18. Now, Higuain has played 18 total games, and Campana has played a total of 22 games. But you're talking about 8 less starts, so you know you're getting less minutes.
For sure.
So as far as efficiency is concerned, because minutes, Campana's played 1,387 minutes. Higuain has played a total of 946 minutes. Those are significant numbers. And so the efficiency to me of Higuain is just it's insane, which is one of the reasons why I kind of didn't. I mean, I kind of understood why people weren't fans of Higuain, but I mean, this guy, he cannot be. It can't be denied that this guy is extremely efficient.
Well, he's world class. I mean, the thing was that we felt like he had fallen off, and I'll also be remiss. I don't want to shit on Higuain, okay? Because this is an I am sorry Higuain podcast right now. So please don't take it as I'm taking any credit away from him. But I do need to mention the fact that Campana, out of those 8 goals, none of those have been penalty kicks. And Higuain has scored, I want to say 2 to 3 on penalty. So some of those didn't come from the run and play. But still, you got to nail those penalty kicks regardless. And Higuain is still on a roll. So penalty kick or not, run or play, Higuain, efficient like you said. If he's taking a penalty kick, I feel pretty confident that he's going to score. Yes or no?
Oh, yeah, and that's why they put him to take penalty kicks. I mean, yeah.
So again, we're not going to go too far into the San Jose game. It was a little ugly, but then again, we lost Campana and Higuain. So, and the fact that Lassiter came back, he subbed in early, and he got substituted out early. I don't think I've ever seen a player come in as a substitute and then get taken off and be substituted out. That's how poorly he was playing. But that unfortunately
Yeah,
happened. But we're gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because
yeah,
he's
he
had
was.
such a good season. But let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's get into Emerson, your boy, and I will. We, if for those of you watching on YouTube for the first time, you need to understand that there is a love here. There is a love here for Emerson from Chris, and I hate talking bad about Emerson because I know that is Chris's boy, but we need to talk about San Jose game because after that San Jose game, people were stressed because Emerson, I think it got to a point where I honestly believe I got to actually give him credit because after you have so many failed fast breaks or counterattacks where he's basically by himself with just one defender or the goalie, I think at some point, me personally, after I feel like on the third time, I think I might start running a little slower to avoid getting the ball in that situation just because I feel so embarrassed. Like at that
Yeah,
point, I feel like your confidence would be on the floor. But if you look at him, he's still trying. He failed there, boom, a second time, failed again. So let's go a third time. A minute later, he's at it again, running by himself. And what happens again? Loses the ball. Heavy first touch. Let's go for a fourth time. Boom. He comes a fourth time. Like a minute after this. And this is in a span of like 4 or 5 minutes. And look at that pace. He outruns everybody to get this
I
chance.
mean that's
But
beautiful, man.
he can't finish. He can't finish. And so you need to be able to finish when you have those chances. So I give him credit just for the fact that he wasn't running away from the ball. He failed 4 times in a span of like less than 10 minutes, but he kept trying. And I'll give it to him because that might kill somebody's confidence. They might let up. They might not run full speed to try to get another, but he kept going. So he's like what was it we said last week? A goldfish? He's like a goldfish. He has
Yeah,
that
yeah.
short
I
term
mean, I could
memory.
definitely, yeah, and I could definitely see that. I mean, look, his pace it makes a hell of a difference.
Here we go.
You're talking about immediately tiring out the defenders, and he knows that that's his biggest advantage. I mean, I was listening to one of the interviews with Phil Neville, and one of the things that Phil Neville mentioned was the fact that everybody knows that Emerson. Yeah, I know. He's look, listen. I mean, he's an incredible player, and like I mentioned to
That's
you
Chris's
before, he's
heartbeat.
going to be a
That's
huge
Chris's heartbeat
asset.
right there.
Yes,
That's the heartbeat of the
and
team right there.
so yeah, and for those of you listening, he's basically flashing a picture of me and Emerson next to each other with my eyes, hard eyes. But
Uh-huh.
regardless, I mean, as far as him and the way that he plays, one of the things that Phil Neville mentioned was that he just has to figure out how to pace himself on the ball, right? Everybody knows that he is lights out, and people could throw a through pass for him. I mean, I think that the moment that he actually realizes his potential with the ball and he can be able to play a little more calmly, I think that Pozuelo is going to be having assist after assist after assist with this kid. But that's the thing is that his
Yeah.
first touch isn't the greatest. He's not very
Uh-uh.
patient when he gets in the box, and those are
Uh-uh.
things that he's going to have to learn in time throughout his career.
Well, and I think that he has some great teammates for that. I mean, Higuain, look, say what you want. Even when I was hating on him, I still understood that the experience that he brings is, I mean, it's unmatched by almost anyone in the MLS. I can't think of a lot of players in the MLS that you can have as a teammate that bring the
Yeah,
world of knowledge that he probably brings. And
yeah,
also Pozuelo. Have you Pozuelo, the way he is, the patience that he brings, the way he
yeah.
lets plays build up, the way he just stands on the ball and lets things like just come to fruition. He waits for those players to cut in. Emerson is gonna learn and he's gonna keep developing under these players, also under these coaches. So I think that he's gonna pay off. And I mean, he ended up being technically the hero just a couple days later. So let's get into the Montreal game, where I think a lot of people. Well, before we get into it, a lot of people were upset about the scheduling. because we had a game on Wednesday on the road out in California,
Yeah, it
and
was
then we had
brutal.
to travel all the way to Montreal, Canada, and it ended up being a total of 7,600 miles traveled with this whole road trip, and we were playing against one of the best teams in the East. So at that point, we got 3 points in San Jose. I think the majority of the fan base for Inter Miami were saying, let's hope for the best, a win, but let's get out of here with at least a draw because 4 points would be a victory. And a
Yeah,
victory we got because we got that draw.
yeah. And the funny thing is that it could have been better. We could have scored additional goals in the game. I think it was a good game, not just for the simple fact that we scored or got a draw, but I think that you're starting to see a lot more confidence build up in an offense that, to be quite honest, it looks depleted in the front. And we're talking about now. You have other players that are kind of kicking in. Participation. You have Jean Mota that finally is going to get gassed because of his last goal. You got
Mm-hmm.
Emerson, who he got lucky in the game.
Oof.
I know that
We're gonna get into that goal, yeah. Huh?
yeah, and so we're having additional participation. You got Higuain that's riding the wave until it just dies out, and hopefully he can be able to keep actually riding it for another 100 more games or whatever.
Hopefully. But I mean, it was a big time game, and I mean, it started off. It didn't start off in the best of ways. I was in Disney World with the kids, and I was rushing back to the hotel to try to catch the game. And I figured I'll probably miss the first 5 minutes or so. And just like that, when I got onto the ESPN app and I turned it on, it was exactly the 5 minute mark, and Montreal was celebrating a goal. And man, I couldn't believe that less than 5 minutes into the game, we gave up a goal. And if this is Inter Miami from last year, that's done. The personality of that
Yeah, game
team,
is over.
yeah. But wow, what I'm telling you, I couldn't believe what I was seeing because I turned it on. I was like, crap, this is gonna be a long game. And as I'm settling into my seat, propping up my tablet, I'm watching that first play by Inter Miami, and man, like, oh no, this isn't it. And I'm watching that first play by Inter Miami, and it was incredible that that the personality that this team has because they didn't hang their head. They immediately went down the field and they scored again and
Beautiful chip shot. Beautiful chip shot by
beautiful.
Higuain.
And that pass was on the money. That was almost the identical play to the play that they had against Cincinnati, where Higuain kind of cut behind the defenders and Pozuelo caught him with that beautiful through pass. It was just that Pozuelo Higuain connection. If it would have been together for a full year, I
Oh,
believe that there's a good chance that Higuain is leading the league in goals. I
almost.
honestly believe that. I believe that he's leading the league in goals if Pozuelo's here from the start of the season.
Yeah, that goes without saying. I mean, that just on the first couple games, you're starting to see the connection develop. You're starting to see the fruits of the labor between these two. And one thing
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to mention to you or ask you,
Mm-hmm.
is it me or are we just getting scored on way too early in a lot of games? Because I feel like we're always running from behind, and not from behind during the game. It seems like it's very early in the game that we have been getting scored on, and it just sets such a terrible tone.
I think you have a point. I'd have to look into it, and I'm gonna look into getting those stats for you next podcast, next episode, and I'm gonna have those because I'd like to see that breakdown also because I feel like we are playing from behind very early most games. But I will
Yeah.
tell you that we don't score very early at all. That goal right there in the 5th minute was by far the earliest goal we've scored all season,
Yes, it
and
is.
bef- and before this goal, do you know what the earliest was? It was Mota the game before in the 12th minute.
Oh yeah.
And before that, it was Higuain in the 16th minute or so, the game before that. So we've been producing a lot earlier in games over the last 3 or 4 games. But before that, it felt like most of our goals were coming in the 75th minute and later. And that's not a
Yes.
game that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
constantly want to be playing. You don't want to be counting on those last few possessions
No,
to
you do
tie or
not.
win a game. That's a dangerous game.
You don't want to play. You don't want to play. You don't want to play banking all of the money, banking all of your winning potential on the last 10 minutes of the game.
And even less when 9 times out of 10, by the time that you get to those last 10 minutes, Robert Taylor's out of the game. Higuain is probably out of the game. You got Pozuelo for some reason has been coming off the game. And then you're relying on what? Emerson, Vasilev,
Victor Ulloa.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you're relying on a lot of people. You know, Jovan Jones. I mean, we're talking about guys that
he's played pretty well when he's come in. I gave it to him. He's been playing
pretty
well.
He's been passing very well. One that I wanted to mention to you about Pozuelo, where I think that he's making a difference is with Bryce Duke, because Bryce Duke before used to actually be very impatient and make passes that he shouldn't have. And I think that if there's one person that he's really, really starting to learn from, is from Pozuelo.
I agree. I mean, Bryce Duke is gonna be the player I think that benefits the most outside of Higuain on the field. I think he's gonna be the one that's gonna benefit the most from playing next to Pozuelo, and I'm talking just as far as mentorship, because Bryce Duke to me is an absolute baller. He was part of the Barcelona Academy. He was invited to play with the Barcelona Academy. I think he was with them for maybe a year. So he is a certified baller. And you can see it when he plays. He wins the ball and creates off of those duels in the midfield. I want to say, was he the one that won the ball back on that late Emerson goal to tie the game? Well, I'd have to look it over.
He is.
But Bryce Duke, I think he's going to benefit the most. Now, unfortunately, we gave up that first goal, and then we gave up this odd handball. And the worst part about this handball is that they gave them a penalty kick. But, man, I felt so bad for Calendar, because if you watch this, he not only guesses right, but he gets contact on the ball, and it still manages to somehow slip under him. That would have been one hell of a save, and that would have been the difference in the game, really. But it
definitely would have made the difference.
Like when you see this still image, I have the still image up on YouTube if you're listening on the podcast. But if you're watching on YouTube, if you see this still image, you see where the ball is, you see where his body is. It doesn't look like there's many places for that ball to go. It looks like that should be a save.
It looks like it's going right in the breadbasket.
And there was only one possibility, and that's where it went. And I really thought he had that save, and he would have been man of the match if he would have saved that ball.
Yeah.
But we were down 2-1. Things were looking kind of weary, but then Chris's boy came to the rescue. And I want to ask you, since that's your boy, does this goal make up for the horrible display in San Jose?
I mean, I think so. It's a feel good. You know, I want you to look at the replay here, because we're looking at the replay. He fumbled all over the place after his first initial attempt. Look at how I wish for the next game, for the next podcast we have, I want to put together both goals that he scored, and I want you to see the difference in celebration for all the players versus when Emerson Rodriguez scores. Because I could tell you right now, and I'm just going to rewind the clip back, to the point where he kind of crosses right over, and then he misses, busts his ass, he misses the ball completely. Then he kind of panic kicks it, and then look at this. I mean, all of his teammates, they are so excited, not just for the team, but specifically for him. And the way that they sort of celebrate, not just for goals, but for his goals, you could tell that everybody wants him to succeed. So I think it's good.
I'm sure they feel bad because, I mean, everybody saw what happened in San Jose. I mean, that was fucking bad. The way that he failed on 4 consecutive attempts in a span of less than 10 minutes. And I will tell you, I don't want to give him too much credit. I'm going to tell you why I don't want to give him too much credit, because this is what he does. He creates opportunities for himself, but he can't finish. Any other goalie throws himself on the ball. And look, it's easy for me to say because I'm not the one that gets that that takes the chance of getting kicked in the face. But
Yeah.
most goalies throw themselves on the ball. This goalie went in with his feet for some reason. Like I don't know what he was doing. He was like sliding in. Like Emerson really lucked out with this goal. It was
And
ugly.
and if you look, I have the video paused. He tried the goal, missed his second attempt. Then now he's going for his third attempt. Look at Vasilev. He's been asking for that ball.
I
He's
hadn't
been
noticed that.
asking for that ball. If you look at that replay, because I saw it when I saw this
I
replay
hadn't
earlier.
noticed that.
I saw this replay earlier. I want you to watch Vasilev. So Vasilev's on the far side of inside the box, right? So Emerson cuts in, boom, misses. The ball's coming back to Emerson. So you see Vasilev, he's coming back out, right? He's asking for the ball, right? Now here comes Emerson. Emerson at this point is like, I'm getting this damn goal. I'm not even looking at you, Vasilev. So he goes up, gets the goal, he gets the kick, and look, Vasilev is still asking for it. Still asking for this pass.
Yeah.
And then once the ball goes in, he kind of like, okay, I guess I didn't need that pass. But it's funny because if he would have missed it, a lot of people would have looked at this. A lot of people would have looked at this and said it's Emerson's inexperience. I mean, look at it. Look at from this replay right here. Give me the ball. Give me the ball. And then he made it. So nobody's going to complain about it.
I hadn't noticed, but let me tell you, it's one of the ugliest goals I've ever seen in my life. I think the goalie played that absolutely horribly. I think Emerson lucked out with how bad the goalie played it. But we got away with the draw. We got that 1 point. Emerson saved his week because honestly, that would have been a really rough week if he misses that opportunity. But I mean, it is what it is. We got the point, and let's look at the standings now. We got the standings. Let me put them up right quick. We got the standings. We are currently in 9th place. We are in a 4-way tie as far as points go for 7th place, that last spot. Now, before I get into it, when I look and I see that Cincinnati has 32 points and they're in 6th place, it's really frustrating to know that we blew that game against them a couple weeks ago. Because if we keep that lead and we win that game, right now, we are sitting at 32 points like Cincinnati is, and they would be sitting at 29 points. No, I'm sorry, at 30 points.
Yep.
So we would flip-flop with them. And it's just really, really rough. It's really, really rough to think what could have been. Actually, they'd be 29 points, so they'd be out of the playoffs. But it sucks. But here we are. We're still in the middle we're the thick of it. It's crazy. Between the 5th seed and the 12th seed, it's a difference of 4 points. Every game matters from here on out.
And not only that, but then you'd also be looking at, to me, and this is scary, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I feel like those 3 points that we really lost the chance of grabbing with Cincinnati, I feel like that's going to really hurt us in the future.
If we look, because we got 1 point out of that. If we end up missing the playoffs by 2 points or by 1 point, for sure, because we let those 2 points go. We had that W. And let me tell you something. That Pozuelo goal that they called back in that Cincinnati game, where we should have taken a 4-2 lead, that was the difference because the momentum switched once they took that goal off. Cincinnati felt like they had the advantage, or the momentum at least.
Yeah.
They subbed out 3 defenders and brought in 3 brand new defenders that played a lot better than the ones that were in there. So that goal alone, where they called it offside, could change this. Not change the season, but it could have a definitely a big part in the outcome of if we make the playoffs or not. So that'll be rough. But here we are. We're looking at NYCFC on Saturday, which a big time game. They're still technically the defending champs, but no Tati Castellano this time. We're not playing in that baby field anymore. So I feel pretty good. The last 2 games that they played without Tati, they've only mustered 1 goal. Technically 2 goals, because they scored 2 goals against Columbus, but one of those goals was an own goal that Columbus kind of scored on themselves. So even though it says 2 goals, they've really only scored 1 offensive goal over the last 2 games. They've struggled. That last game against Montreal, 2 games ago, they ended up with a 0-0 draw. They had, I think, 1 shot and 0 shots on target. Like, they're struggling without Tati. They're struggling without Tati. And we are the home side, and you know that we are a great team. I'm not even going to say good. We're a great team at home. So I really believe that we are set up nicely to take advantage of this new NYCFC team. We're going to defend home field, and I think we're going to come out with 3 points this weekend.
Yeah, I definitely do see that coming as well. I mean, and then like you said, Tati's not going to be there. And offensively they've been struggling. Defensively, we're doing okay in the last 2 games. I feel like definitely we're going to have a lot better success. I mean, not just for that game, but even for the next one against Toronto. But, not looking too far ahead, I feel like the New York City FC game is definitely going to help us. I want to see what else is going to happen in the standings later on in the week, just to see where everything is going to be floating around.
Well, their best defender, Alexander Cayens, I believe he's injured and he might miss the game also. And he's the heart and soul of that back line. Now, if he's out with an injury, which I'm telling you, he's awesome. He's one of the best defenders in MLS, hands down. If he's out, which I believe he is, I know he's missing the All-Star game. I don't know how long he's out, but I believe he's out for a few weeks. I do think that we're going to take advantage of that. Nope, I'm sorry for the pause. It says that he's up in the air for Miami. But if he misses this game, the way our offense has been looking at home with Pozuelo, Duke, and Higuain out there, I think we're going to take advantage. And I see a 2-0 victory. I don't see that their offense has been playing very well. I think that there's a good chance we come out with 5 in the back. And before we get into this, you and I talk about the starting lineups a lot when it gets released, right? Through Inter Miami social media. They show us the starting 11. And I feel like every week they put the same formation, 4 in the back, 4-3-3 almost.
Yeah.
But they never actually play in that formation. It's like they
never do. They never do.
I don't know if they're trying to fool us or if they really think that the opposing team is like watching their social media or something. Yeah, because I'm like, okay, so we're playing a 4-3-3 today. And that's never the case. I'm always, okay, McVay's off at left back. No, he's not. He's playing center back. Robert Taylor's dropping down as a wing back. So I'm not sure why they do that. It's really weird. And I've stopped even paying attention. I look at it to see who is that starting, like who the starting 11 is.
Yeah, who's starting and who's backup. Yeah.
Right, but I no longer pay attention to the formation that they post because apparently it means nothing. So what do you think?
You know what's funny is if you look on their social media page when you look on their app, just talking about the starting lineup, what I always see is that they put 2 posts up. They put one up showing the same information. I think it's the pink sort of, the one that has more pink in the background. And then they put up another starting lineup, which has the same information, but the formation is even different on both of those. And then the actual formation that they play in the game is different than the 2 that they posted on their social media website. I mean, look, with the NYCFC game, I think it's gonna be a coming out party for Emerson. I mean, I don't know. I think it's definitely gonna be a good game. I think Emerson's have another goal. I feel like at some point Emerson
had his chance. Emerson had his chance in San Jose. He had a chance to end up with a 88 plus minute hat trick. He could have scored 3 times
with 100 goals
after 88th minute. He had his opportunity. Everybody's been like, Emerson might get going. This was his coming out party opportunity, and he let it go by.
Yes, it was.
And it was rough. You know what it is? 4 chances in the last 10 minutes. That was, and the worst part is because it happened the last 10 minutes of the game, it was like the lasting memory. Like everybody remembered it because it happened the last 10 minutes. So everybody's just cussing Emerson out after the game was over. If it would have at least happened in the 20th minute, the 30th minute, you might have forgotten because other things might have happened. But because it happened,
Yeah.
the last 10 minutes of that game, everybody's like, oh my God, did you see Emerson? What's this guy doing? It was rough. Thank God for that ugly goal against Montreal because, man, everybody would still be killing him.
Well, I think the game is definitely going to come down to a score of 3-0, and I think Inter Miami takes this. I think Inter Miami takes this in a fashion
You
that
said
is going to be
3-0?
extremely dominant. Yeah, 3-0 is what I feel like is going to be the score at the end of the game.
I mean, if Alex Cayens is out, I could definitely see us putting up 3 goals. I'm going to play a little safer, say 2 goals. I don't think that NYCFC will score. They've been struggling to score as it is. Without that team, they got no shots on goal against Montreal. They scored twice against Columbus, but one of those was an old goal that Columbus scored on themselves. So they've mustered out 1 goal in the last 2 games. We play very well at home. Our defense isn't bad. So some people kill us. Everybody was saying, "Oh, you beat San Jose 1-0, but San Jose sucks." San Jose scores. Like it's not like San Jose is a bad offensive team.
Yeah.
They're a horrible defensive team, but they score, and at home
Yeah.
they're pretty well good. And Babase is one of the leading scorers in the league, but we shut him down. So our defense, although it's not the best, it's not the worst either. So playing against a depleted NYCFC team, I think we have a great chance. I think we put up at least 2 goals.
Listen, San Jose might be second to last in the Western Conference, but they have 39 goals.
Yeah, they score.
They have 39 goals. They have more goals. They have more goals than Dallas, which is in 3rd place. They have more goals than Minnesota, which is in 4th place. They have more goals. They have more goals than Real Salt Lake, which is in 5th place. I mean, other than Portland, other than Portland, LAFC, and other than Austin, which is scoring like 100 goals this season.
Oh yeah,
they're in the top 4. They're in the top 4 as far as in goals scored. So they're no joke.
And we shut them out. And not only did we shut them out, we shut them out at home. So again, they're bad because they have the worst defense in the league. Hands down, the worst defense in the league.
Yeah.
And that shows because we should have had 1 million goals that game.
Yeah.
Just Emerson couldn't complete and couldn't finish them. But we're not getting enough credit for the defense. To shut out San Jose at home isn't an easy task. But we did that.
Yeah.
So, and then Montreal scored 1 goal in play, and then they scored on a penalty kick.
They have the highest goals allowed in the entire league.
Yeah. And the most shots on goal also. Like they're bad. That's why before we were previewing that game, I said we should be able to score 3-4 goals on them. Now, I still think that we played well enough to score those goals. We just didn't have Campana, Higuain, which are our finishers. Unfortunately, this team, we don't have any other finishers. And hopefully that doesn't come around and bite us in the ass. I'm really hoping that Coco comes and he ends up being that backup 9 that could fill in that role until Campana comes back. But until Coco comes back, until Campana comes back a month and a half from now, we'll see, because September we have a lot of road games and we're a good home team. And although this was a decent road trip we just had where we got those 4 points, we got to keep building off of that, because to make the playoffs, we're going to have to win some road games.
Well, and one thing I want to go ahead and touch up on before we end the show here, I want to preview the MLS real quick, because I was just taking a look at this schedule. I mean, we got a couple of things that can work in our favor here. We have the Red Bulls are playing Orlando, and if the Red Bulls beat Orlando, that's going to work in our favor. We have Cincinnati playing against Atlanta. Atlanta's lower than us in the standings. We got Cincinnati, who if they take a loss, they could drop. If we got Atlanta taking a loss, they could definitely.
Who's Cincinnati playing?
Get some distance from under us. Cincinnati's playing Atlanta, and then you have New England, who plays against DC. I mean, obviously the best thing I can look forward to there is that DC gets the upset and drops New England down.
Hey,
Um,
DC upset Orlando just a couple weeks ago in those late 2 goals, so it's not out of the
yeah,
realm of possibility.
yeah. And then you got Philadelphia playing Chicago. That's definitely a game that I want to pay attention to, because if Philadelphia beats Chicago, it'll keep Chicago at their 30 points, and if we get the win, that'll definitely put us right above. Um, you know,
So
I,
so let's see.
I'm looking at
So so Chicago has the 7th seed, and you said they're playing against Philly. So let's
yeah,
say Philadelphia wins that game, they stay at 30 points. Orlando plays the Red Bulls. Let's say
yep,
hypothetically the Red Bulls win that game. Orlando stays at 30 points. New England plays against, who was it?
yep.
Who was New England playing? I forgot who New
They
England
play
was
against
playing.
DC.
DC. Okay, that was a little rougher because DC is such a bad team.
They're
But
playing against DC. Yeah,
Hopefully with Rooney there, they pick it up. So there's a good chance outside of that New England game that Chicago and Orlando end up losing those games and stay at 30 points. If we can beat NYCFC and have Chicago and Orlando both lose, we are all of a sudden, I mean, I guess depending on New England, but we have the tiebreaker over them because we have more wins. We would be in sole possession of 7th place. So this is a big time game, especially with the teams that we're playing against are playing against some tough competition. Yeah. So thank you for that, because that was a great preview of the MLS week, because those are going to be some games to look out for.
For sure.
All right. Well, I think just about
I
wraps it
can't
up.
wait.
No, for sure. And we're going to be there at the NYCFC game. I will be rocking my I Am Sorry Higuain shirt for the game. Hopefully he sees it and gives me blows me a kiss or something, because I'm sorry. And I'm one of the few that's actually acknowledging that I was wrong, because some people I've seen on Twitter that they're saying that
Nobody's doing that.
There's a lot of people that are saying that, oh, I knew it all along. Apologize
I've always
to him,
believed.
or or here's the apology application or something. Or shut up, nobody believes in him. Come on. So I'll be rocking that. I really think that we're gonna win. I think it's gonna be a fun atmosphere, and NYCFC travels pretty well as far as their fan base goes. So it's gonna be a fun atmosphere at the stadium on Saturday. So here we go. Another fun week.
To it for sure.
Thank you again, Chris, for joining me on this episode, and we will catch you guys after this W. Hopefully we're in a playoff spot. Anything else, Chris?
Later.